Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Tooele Happy Hour podcast starring Jared Anderson and David Weiss. Today's guest, Ryan Parker. He's running for Tooele City Council. Ryan, please introduce yourself to the audience.
Fantastic. Well, first, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Long-time listener, first-time caller, so I'm excited to be on the show. My name is Ryan James Parker. I'm 33 years old from Orem, Utah. I graduated from Utah Valley University with a bachelor's degree in political science and a minor in business management. I'm currently on track to receive my master's in public administration from UVU. My current capstone project is researching the impacts that permanent supportive housing has on reducing chronic homelessness amongst individuals with severe persistent mental illness. In my 20s, I lived in downtown Salt Lake City, where I first got involved in homeless services. I first started working in shelters and then moved to housing case management, where my role was I would be given a caseload of individuals who were currently homeless, either in shelters or living in camps, and I would just travel around the county, get people tied to vouchers, and then get them leased up in the community. To now, I'm currently managing a permanent supportive housing project downtown. It's about 75 units, tax credits, for individuals that are leaving chronic homelessness, and all with project-based vouchers. In my personal time, I enjoy, reading, writing, different types of research. I'm an avid outdoorsman, camping, fishing. If our beloved state ever finally, will bless me with a tag, that'll be nice to get back out there hunting. And then I'm also
don't worry about it. State's putting elk everywhere. You're not going to get any deer. Anyways,
and I'm also just an avid, an avid gym enthusiast. Anyone listening can catch me at Vasa every single week. And I grew up doing combat sports, starting out as a kid in karate, like most American kids, then boxing, Muay Thai, and recently doing jiu-jitsu, training over at Tooele Martial Arts Academy under Keith Asbury. Shout out, Keith. Those guys are a bunch of studs over there.
Yeah, Keith.
And outside that, I just enjoy my leisure. I just enjoy my leisure time with my beautiful wife, who we've been together for 6 years, our 3 amazing children, and our 2 incredibly awesome yet destructive dogs here in Tooele.
Sounds like a peaceful life. So, what are your motivations to run for Tooele City Council?
Great question. So, what it is passion and capability and competence. I've been working in the nonprofit and public sector for nearly a decade. And one bit of experience that comes with that is understanding the accountability and trust when handling public funds, public monies, when we're talking about vouchers or tax credits for building low-income housing, that there is no, you can't rely on, I'm going to have a good year of profits and we can do this and that. Nope, every single dollar you're getting is going to be set in stone for 2, 3, whatever blank years your grant goes, especially also having to prepare whenever it comes to state and federal funding. So you have to work with what you got. You have to do what we call lean government principles, which is doing value added services. How can you increase the value of your services without asking for more money? And so that's what one of the things. And of course, just living here in Tooele, I love this community. I've been just meeting with different individuals, whether it be my neighbors, some of the small business owners, and just saying that there's such great potential here in Tooele. Growing up in Orem, nowadays, excuse me, let me back it up. Growing up in Orem, it was a rural town in the 90s. We would ride our dirt bikes to Circle K and things like that. Now, when you drive into Orem, getting off University Parkway, you're in 6 lanes of traffic. And they're playing catch up with their housing. And so where we're at in Tooele, and what I see the potential is that Tooele is not we're still about 40,000 citizens, but we're seeing that growth and it's exciting. So how do we meet that growth, maintaining the historic preservation of Tooele and also ensuring that our children can, if they decide to, can live here instead of having to move back in with us or having to move to Salt Lake and things to that. And I know that I have the capabilities and just the sheer drive to do it. So these are the things that helped motivate me of how can I contribute my skills and my knowledge to serve in the community, because what I've learned that I've loved the most in what I do in my career is public service, that I'm here to just serve all of my resources to the community for the betterment.
Ryan, hey, let me ask you this. Do you go to a lot of the city council meetings?
I attend online. A lot of my kids keep me pretty busy, but I have gone to a couple in person. So I am familiar with the city council, a lot of the agendas, and I do see some promising work. And so I do try to attend as much as I can often, especially on their live YouTube streams and whatnot. So I do think that was a great thing that Tooele, that the Tooele City did to ensure that anyone can access, what is going on in City Council, during at any time, especially because if you're interested in knowing what's impacting you, but it's 7 o'clock on a Wednesday, people might have other commitments. So I do try to attend online as much as I can.
Very good. Um, so you say you work with housing the homeless population. If I stumble over politically incorrect words, forgive me, because I'm an old man and I'm tired of changing my dialect every 7 minutes. But uh, how would you possibly apply that here in Tooele? Because we have had an uptick in homeless people out here, and I think that's something that Tooele should probably plan ahead for and work towards mitigating.
Absolutely. Well, good thing is that there has been some, there is traction on the ground with Switchpoint, who is going to be operating Harris Community Village. It's basically going to be a community resource center that's going to have, I can't remember if it's exactly like 40 to 50 shelter beds, but then also in their same complex, it's going to be, I want to say, 60 permanent supportive housing units. And then just a real quick breakdown for people that hear permanent supportive housing. What is that? That is basically housing that's low income, that's tied to a voucher, subsidized rentals that have wraparound services. So you have on-site staff, on-site case management, depending on however their structure is, maybe once a week, an APRN will come on site and help with medicine, case management, things like that. So we are getting some movement going here. So real big shout out to the Tooele CRC, the individuals who operate the Tooele Thrift, the pantry, so the operator is going to be Switchpoint, who is going to be doing Harris Community Village. So where do we go on from that? Well, for starters, is connecting with our Tooele County Housing Authority to see what can we do as far as on the state level to get some state dollars moving in, because the Office of Homeless Services received $5 million from the state legislature in ongoing funds. Are we able to reach out to, let's say, Representative Jimenez and say, let's see about if we can get a pot of that to use that as deposit assistance? Because we all know that moving into an apartment, it's not simply just affordability, it's accessibility. Oh, it's $1,200. Okay, I can make that work, but it's first month's rent, last month's rent, and a deposit. And sometimes the deposit is another month's rent. So let's just say hypothetically, you're looking at $3,600 to move in. I do not have that by Friday. And especially with this hot housing market, it's basically, you got it tomorrow? No. Okay. I'm on to the next applicant. So are we able to, we can create these things. Salt Lake County has done it. Utah County to an extent. So that is one of the, some of the first things would be to continue to support Switchpoint and these other service providers, even our religious community out here in Tooele, which is a very beautiful community, to see meet where the people are, meet with them where they're at, to help try to connect them to resources such as shelters, such as food stability, and seeing what is the barriers to getting into an apartment. And that's just really on really just kind of on, I guess you could say, the subsidy side. And then on the other side of it is just creating more affordable housing stock. And the cities have huge power in that. When people think of presidents or senators or governors for all these big thing issues, when it comes to housing, the buck stops with cities. It's zonings, it's their jurisdictions. So there's many different ways that cities can help improve their zoning ordinances, different kind of elements of ensuring that we can, if you look at our current zoning map, I mean, the majority of it is what we would call middle density. So a lot of just single family homes, these kind of subdivisions. But you are seeing some individuals that are saying, well, could we maybe make a modest apartment building, not these huge gargantuan things, just something that's, like even like a duplex, what we used to call middle housing, that kind of looks like these almost kind of Victorian kind of townhomes that have, a couple, units in the front, a couple units in the back. And the way the cities can do that is looking at our zoning and seeing how we can smooth the process for developers. For one, Another an interesting thing that I would like to bring to the table is a process called by right development. This would be where a city gets together and says, "Hey, if a property or a development meets A, B, and C, we're just going to automatically give them a conditional use permit." And then, so that doesn't get caught up in committees or commissions, and that way it can just go through. But it doesn't take any kind of input away. We love our commissions, we love our committees, we want that input, but at least we can get the ball rolling. And then by the time it comes to the final signing off on it, that's when we can get some recommendations and feedback from the community. Because any developer will tell you that they can handle market trends, they can handle consumer appetites, but what is very difficult is the lack of consistency in a local government, where do we need to reach out here, and is this even zoned for that? Do we have to add this zoning amendment? Another thing is when you have cities that set minimum parking requirements. Now, parking requirements in theory sounds good because it's like, oh, great, we don't have our streets flooded with cars. But in actuality, it costs developers when you say, hey, if you're going to make 10 units, you need to have, if it's going to be one bedroom units, you're going to need to have 20 parking spaces, right? Because two people, blah, blah, blah. When in actuality, some families just have one car. But, so why do we need all these parking spaces when not everyone that's going to be living here has a vehicle? You're going to have empty parking stalls, and they have to pay for that. And Lord, heaven forbid if they have to have conditions of like underground parking garages. Basically, these projects that cities, that their ordinances impose on developers, they don't pencil. And so the developer just picks up their ball and goes home. And so we need developers to buy in with us. We need to have them as partners, as a coalition, because the government is not into housing. We're at a point where we're in a public-private partnership. HUD, will issue voucher money and things like that, but we played the public housing game and we realize that it doesn't work. We need local control, we need local input, and we need local management. So those are the two aspects of areas where we can drastically improve our housing stock by helping our developers with our zoning, and then also on the other end, helping our tenants, helping our first-time home buyers to have access to resource just to get into the building. So those are a lot of the different components, and they're not just the only ones, because we can just go all night on this, but I don't want to take up too much of your time because I'm just very passionate about housing.
Oh, that's good. What are your thoughts on possibly some development of revenue causing commercial development?
Absolutely.
Do you think we have room for that, or?
Oh, absolutely, we do, and we already have seen the improvement in the Peterson industrial district and the jobs that are going to be coming from that, and just the tax base alone from these other revenue streams. 1,000 North, all the different businesses that are going to be opening up there. So we absolutely can. And in fact, I'm really glad you brought that up, because I was even wanting to mention another interesting component in our expanding downtown would be to also zone for mixed use buildings, where you would have like retail or something at the bottom and a couple residentials on top. Those are perfect for young kids. Maybe obviously not for people that are trying to start a family or whatnot, but I mean, a young kid living downtown, I had a delight in Salt Lake. I was a kid in a candy store. So absolutely, we can always find space for our to drive our commercial base, drive our workforce, drive our economy, and throw in some extra units on top too. It's about sprinkling and not making just these huge silos. In essence, these kind of very segregated spots that are just no-go, and you have to go through all these hoops to just even get a single little zoning amendment. I remember laughing at a comedian named Bill Maher. I'm sure you guys heard of him, when he was complaining about how he just wanted to put solar panels on his garage, like his detached garage. And the city council, I don't know, of Malibu or wherever he lives, it took him like 2 years to get it done. So making sure, so these are the places where we can start getting really creative and innovative, especially in our downtown and our industrial areas.
Yeah, getting creative and innovative in Tooele. I don't know, last I tried with zoning, I just wanted to put in an industrial kitchen in my basement so I could make my chocolate bars and sell them out of state, right? And it was just a big, quick no. And really? I feel like if we're going to stifle the little guy, what chance do we actually have to put big business into our area and be successful if we can't even expand our minds to let little people try to innovate? So,
was that Tooele City or state regulate?
Tooele City. Tooele City. Zoning.
And see, I 100% agree with that. And so we can't just give platitudes or try to speak and say we're going to do all this and that, when in essence like just something to what you are describing, why should it have been done? Like something to that effect. If we're not going to look out for just run-of-the-mill Joe citizens, how are we going to attract these big corporate entities, something like a Costco or something? Because like those, like you can't just separate the two. If you don't look after the small businesses, but you're going and chasing after all the big corporate money, you're not going to end up getting either in the end.
Yeah, give the peasant a chance.
I think that's interesting that you this working for housing for the homeless. It is I'm sure a more complicated issue than what would come to the average person's mind, where you're not dealing with, everyone has the assumption that they're just lazy, but generally there is different issues you have to deal with that makes it an extremely complex problem to solve.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you saying that. I think if people were to understand that their own problems in trying to find affordable housing in their communities and see that that's the exact same thing that so many individuals experiencing homelessness are, like there would be more of that humanity, that more of that connection, and seeing like, yeah, we're kind of all feeling this. We're all feeling this pressure. A lot of my tenants and a lot of my clients back when I was a case manager, what it really just came in was just getting the foot in the door, just getting the ball rolling, just give me a chance, give me a break. Because you'll have individuals that maybe have a few evictions on their record, which, I mean, that's basically game over for like half the properties out there. There was issues sometimes when it came to, well, this person, there's sometimes, you just have to accept that there's bias. A person comes in and they're a little disheveled and they kind of smell a little bit. And, you can tell like they're with me. If I'm having to be there with them, like, oh, he couldn't just come in on his own. There's already this kind of concern. So the biggest thing that was a success for my clients is that I stood by them and I let them run the gamut. I let them run the show, pick out the spots that they wanted to apply. It wasn't about warehousing people at all. I want you to be invested in where you live. Because if you're invested where you live, then you take pride, you take ownership of it, you take ownership of your life and you make it a home. But the biggest hurdles really just came down to affordability, because these are housing vouchers, and our HUD will set certain voucher limits and whatnot. But I mean, it's not just going to be you can't use a housing voucher for a $3,000 condo. You have to go out in the community that's going to, okay, so this one bedroom, your voucher can goes all the way up to 1,200. So right there, you're already kind of working in a little bit more of a cheaper market. But it really, I can say I was happily proud to have 100% housing rate. All my clients that when I was a case manager, I got them housed. And then as a property manager for a permanent supportive housing project, my whole thing is just getting them in the door. Let's just get you in, because we all can understand that, even let's say a person that has, substance use problems, a person that goes to rehab, and let's say they relapse, rehabs won't, like, if they go back and say, nope, you came here before, we're not helping you. Like, no, a person goes back a first time, a second time, a third time until they get it right. And so what my philosophy has always been is, let's get you in. Because guess what? People that don't have any criminal records or evictions can trash an apartment too. Mm-hmm. I mean, trust me, I went to plenty of house parties in Orange City as a young man, and those poor homeowners.
The idea that $1,200 is on the low end is still fascinating to me, because I'll tell you what, that's my mortgage is just under that.
We've hit a weird space in almost all of the, but that's I don't know. We could get into deeper political conversation about how good of a job Washington, D.C. and our federal. We don't need to go there. This is about you running for Tooele City Council.
Right. No worries. In the end, just to continue on that point is, it's absolutely difficult and it's heartbreaking at times, because every now and then you got to take an L. That you'd never bat 1,000 on a housing application. But there are people out there that really truly understand that let's just rent to you. And guess what? If it's that much of a problem, you can evict them like you would anyone else. There's Here in Utah, we do have a source of income as a protected class. So you have to accept a housing voucher with all things being equal. Like if they still have evictions or criminal records that you would bar any other applicants, you can still deny them. But if they meet all the other criteria and they have a voucher, it has to be accepted. And I think the biggest thing that I've always done with my partnerships in the private sector is to just be a lifeline. And that's the kind of thing that I would bring to city council is call me. I'm not, I'm not a Washington, D.C. politician where you have to reach out to my secretary to get on the books. Call me, shoot me an email, DM me at Tooele Guy 801. Doesn't matter. And what is the problem? What do you need support with? Because what I did as a case manager, I literally gave my cards to property managers and said, hey, if you have a concern, just call me. And I would be responsive to that. This is the model of what you may have heard of as housing first, where we're going to get you housed. And then we're going to work on everything once we get you in. And that's what I did. I would follow my clients into housing for about a year or so and create some housing stability, get into a rhythm of paying a utility bill, an electric bill. And not everyone that is experiencing homelessness has no access to funds. Some people collect Social Security disability. They just need that help kind of setting up budgets and learning how to pay things because they've been on the streets for 3 years. Times have changed. Nowadays, you don't pay anything by phone or with a check. Like all utilities are paid online. So having to get people literate with just technology so they know how they can pay things and balance that. And in the end, just having someone in their corner, because I believe that anyone can be housed. Absolutely. Anyone can be housed. Now, what happens afterwards? Hey, it's by the grace of God, there go I. We'll have to see. But anyone in this community can be housed. And I truly believe that.
Ryan, let me ask you to close up the last 5 minutes of your time with the idea of Tooele's tax budget and where you stand with that. Do you think we're too conservative, too liberal? Do you think we need to raise taxes, or do you feel like we're at the appropriate spot? What is your perspective on our tax here in Tooele?
On our taxes, where we're at today is we're good where we're at. I will say, as a public official with housing authorities, with nonprofits, we believe in value added, that we're not going to put the burden on everyone else for us to suddenly do a better job and suddenly be better at what we do. We're tasked with a job to do, and we're going to work with the means that we are given. I know that since 2018, taxes have just been up and down, up and down. And then last year they went up, what was it, about 20% or so? I can just say, what I can tell you, looking at our budget, looking at what we need to do, we need to be creative. We need to apply for grants. We need to start looking under every rock. I can promise that with my term, I will vote no to raise taxes. We have what we are given today. The citizens are pinched just as much as anyone else in this economy and this inflation, that we're not going to continue to put the burden on the citizens. We need to figure out a way. And you know what? And that's what it means to be resourceful. You're going to make me a public official. You're going to make me a community leader. I will find a way, or we'll have to look elsewhere, or we'll have to put something on the table later down the road. But I know that at this point, I will not support raising taxes.
All right. Well, throw us out your last spiel, your last, telling the voters.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys tuning in and listening. You can follow me at Tooele Guy 801, Facebook, Twitter, what have you. And feel free to DM me, reach out to me. I also have a survey that I'm doing, getting feedback from the citizens, because I want to hear your input. I'm not here to tell you that I'm going to pave your roads filled with gold. Tell me what you want from your city. And I've had so many great responses so far, just from any type of regular citizens to business owners. Please, I encourage you to just go out to any one of my social media pages. You'll find the survey. Give me your feedback. What do you want to see? What do you want advocated for you? Because that is what I'm here to do. I'm here to serve the citizens of Tooele, and I will proudly do that. And I'm confident and I'm capable and I'm excited and passionate about it. There is no primary this year because there's 6 of us running for 3 open seats. So it's basically 2 to a seat. So the top 3 votes are the ones who are going to win the election. And the election is November 21st. And I hope you will take your time to consider and reach out and hopefully vote for me, Ryan James Parker, November 21st.
We will be putting that survey in your show notes.
Yeah.
And for sure. That's great.
Yeah, survey will put your Facebook page. Everyone, Ryan Parker. running for Tooele City Council. If you have any questions, reach out to him. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for stepping up to the plate to be one of the volcano sacrifices for the great city of.
Happy
Thanks,
to
Ryan.
do it, gentlemen. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, anytime. And
Good
have
luck.
a good weekend. And good luck.
Take care.